For us, with this grassroots movement, with Clock the T, we really want to continue to highlight and showcase SoCal pickleball.
You know, is there any T towards clock the T? And how do you do it?
Yes, there is T towards Clock the T.
Have you done any threats? Any like, if you post this, I will blah blah blah.
I haven't necessarily gotten any threats.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Conversations with DJ. Today we have Justin here. Thanks for coming to the podcast. Better known as Clock the T, CTT. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Well, for starters, DJ, thank you so much for having me here. Always been a fan, been watching since season 1 when you had Agika, Jimmy Miller. So just wanted to start it with a sense of gratitude. But yeah, thank you so much. Hi, my name is Justin. I run a pickleball, I would say enthusiast account called clocktheT.pb. And essentially what this account is it's following many storylines of SoCal pickleball players who are aspiring to go into pro pickle. So many of the tournaments that we're following are the huge Southern California amateur tournaments that also have open level divisions. So these players that I'm following are usually 5.0 plus players that are competing for money. So many of the prominent tournaments that we've been following has been CAPA, California Pickleball Association, iPickle, Non-Volley Zone, and also APS. So we've been following many local tournaments and finding some hooks, body bags, and other interesting things along the way.
So let me ask you something. So my first question is, what inspired you to create this Instagram account, right? And then my second question is, which of all the organizations that are doing pro pickleball in SoCal is your favorite?
Awesome. So that's a great question. So what inspired me to create this account was there has been many times where my friends and I, when we would compete in these amateur tournaments, where we would experience hooks. Now, for those of you who don't know or don't follow pickleball, when you are getting hooked, it essentially means you're getting cheated on the line call. So DJ knows very much about that.
Yeah,
I have been a victim of it. So me and my friends were talking one day, and we were at Kappa Claremont, and we're just like, you know what? Let's create this account. Let's create something that exposes people for hooking and finding, in essence, the drama of what happens in these tournaments. Obviously, the account has evolved since then and has focused on many other avenues and aspects of pickleball, where we are focusing on highlights and also news and following storylines, as previously stated. But it's just been a fascinating ride for what it is, and me and my friends are constantly collaborating with Johnny from Bad Pickleball. Shout out to Bad Pickleball.
Shout out to Johnny. Let's go.
Right? And it's just been a fantastic ride to be able to follow these storylines. Now, my favorite tournament that I personally love following is the iPickle tournament. And it is an organization by John Less. It is, I would say, the second largest behind Kappa by Angus and Derek Lynn. I would say with iPickle, it has a fascinating setup as they own their own facilities. They also have the highest payout for open players with the minimum teams needed to get the full payout as 10 teams. So it always attracts a wide variety of players. In addition to that, it also attracts many players on the APP tour. So for those who don't know, when you're on the APP tour, you're able to compete in money balls. And if you don't have an exclusivity signed deal, many players who are interested or making a stop in SoCal and are interested in making a little extra money and competing for this prize money, many of them start to take an interest. So they start signing up. So with this past iPickle, we had Yan Newell play in the tournament, and we also had Jonathan Chong for NVZ. So many of these amazing up-and-coming APP players, who have the potential to also be amazing PPA players, are being able to compete in these tournaments, and we utilize our platform to highlight them and highlight many other players that we believe are up-and-coming that could make success on the PPA and APP tour.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like you're a professional speaker.
Thanks.
Love that. Yeah, no. So let me start here. So you told me you like iPickle the best, essentially because they have their own venues, and it's easier to put a good tournament together if you're not, quote unquote renting stuff, right?
Right.
And the account started, I remember basically seeing specifically hooks, which is what I loved about it. I was like, I don't know who's behind the camera. I don't know why they're recording. I don't know what the goal is. Like, I know nothing. All I know is I see Zach Taylor, sorry, doing a hook on Kevin Day and, whatever it
Yeah.
was, right? And to me, it was just hilarious. So it kind of seemed like a very ghost-ish type of way of doing something, right? And then little by little, it started evolving, kind of like you were saying. You were doing like, oh, like let's do an interview here. And actually, you were asking doing the stories, like, should we do interviews for the winners and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? So, what made you want to go from, quote unquote, just a guy behind the camera to now being more out there and doing interviews for, the winners and maybe the losers and he's being, more in front of the camera?
Right. And that's a great question, DJ. I just think that at first, when we first conceived this idea of Clock the Tea, we really wanted to take kind of notes and inspiration from ghost accounts like Koopy Nation, Memes of Pickleball, and like Hey Shay. But slowly but surely, it began to evolve where really when you start to create an account like this, especially focusing in SoCal Pickleball, it's really hard to stay anonymous. And it's really hard to kind of hide the fact that you're exposing players per se. So slowly but surely, I started to get a lot more involved. Instead of being the person behind the camera, I started to start getting in front of the camera and really reporting and started doing these interviews. And I really appreciate that you reminded me about, asking questions and posting on my stories about doing interviews because personally for me, I love doing interviews and I find it fascinating to hear the responses of many of these players who have won or have committed to an upset because for me, I believe it allows them to participate in media training. So with many of these up and coming pickleball players who are competing on the APP tour and also going through qualies and making it to round of 64, they're not necessarily getting interviewed unless it's a huge upset. For example, Rafa Lenhard when he defeated Ben Johns. That was the only time he got an interview.
Big shout out.
So yeah, big shout out to Rafa. But overall, I really enjoy doing these interviews because it's another way for my followers or the followers of Clock the Tea to interact with these players. In addition to that, it's allowing them to kind of gain a fan base and recognize the hard work that's put into pickleball and kind of shortening the gap between amateur players and also 5.0 plus players and pro players because there's always this sort of feeling that many, and even I used to feel this way last year, about amateur players being a little shy to talk to a pro player or being a little shy to ask questions or to kind of get into improving as a player. So I just really want to utilize Clock the Tea to also kind of shorten that gap to allow people to interact more and to allow amateurs to kind of gain rapport with these pro players and up and coming players, but also to really get comfortable and to get to know them and garner some more support and help them with their following as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And where that would take me, right, is kind of like, what is your end goal, with Clock the Tea account, right? Like, we all know, I do a lot of content now doing the podcast back again. I'm sure you have your private own account where your daily stuff or whatever it is, or like your highlights of your life. So what is the ultimate goal for Clock the Tea? Is it to make money with it? Is it just to expose people? Is it just to give people some kind of like you were saying, like a spotlight where they can shine? Like what's like the overall ultimate goal for you?
Yeah, so
Or you guys, there's more of you. Yeah.
right. So there's multiple people who run or help me run Clock the Tea, and that's an amazing question, DJ. For me, with the ultimate goal with Clock the Tea is to continue to not only garner a following, but to really highlight SoCal Pickleball. And for me, I have a full-time job as a professor at Cal State Long Beach, and
That's where your
Yes.
speaking skills come in.
yeah, so I'm perfectly fine with public speaking and speaking in front of a camera. But for me, this is more of a passion project, and that's the agreement amongst my friends and the colleagues I work with Clock the Tea. But for us, with this grassroots movement with Clock the Tea, we really want to continue to highlight and showcase SoCal Pickleball because I just think it's one of the greatest places I've ever witnessed pickleball. I mean, we have such great talent that is here that has yet to be discovered. And we also have amazing talent here that is already killing it and is on the challengers and is killing it along with Jesse Irving and many others. But with Clock the Tea, we also want to highlight other players that are up and coming and who are making their mark, and also seeing the behind the scenes, if there is a paddle toss, if there is a hook that's happening, or if there's a body bag that caused a sense of controversy. So we want to be able to be that outlet, per se, as like a sports journalist or a news outlet, to be able to report that for SoCal pickleball players and beyond.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and knowing what you do with Clock the Tee, right? There's got to be some tea going on for yourself too, right? Where like somebody might be like, hey, like I really thought that ball was out, or why do you post that body bag of me? That's embarrassing. So I guess the two questions would be, is there any tea towards Clock the Tee, and how do you deal with it?
Right. So yes, there is tea towards Clock the Tea. So with some of these videos, what a lot of people need to understand is when you start an account like Clock the Tea that has an origin story that was emphasis on focusing on hooks and body bags and essentially the drama and the chirping that happens on the court, there are consequences. So for some of the people who are featured on there, they have reported that they did not like being featured on Clock the Tee. And instead of having a cordial conversation or about taking it down or about having an editing process, I've been blocked. So we've been blocked on Clock the Tee and also my personal account because they discovered my personal account as well. So personally for me, how I handle it is I don't take any offense to it. For me, what it is that any press is good press. And for some people to interpret it as a negative connotation, I just think that they need to really rewind their playing style, because at the end of the day, with much of the footage that's happening on Clock the Tee, it isn't necessarily private. Majority of the footage that's captured and the people that are witness, it's all public. I mean, Johnny from Bad Pickleball posted the video, in addition to other people who are recording and capturing these matches for their respective players. But there is much consequence that comes to running Clock the Tee, but after garnering such amazing support and being able to build such an amazing platform, I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons.
No, for sure. And I guess my follow-up would be, when somebody comes up to you like, hey, like, I don't like what you're doing, and like, do you just kind of brush it off like you don't really care? Because I wouldn't personally. Like, there's a reason why I'm, essentially like doing this for. So it's like, why would I really care about somebody else, getting bagged? I don't know, but I'm also very like, if I get bagged, it is what it is. I think it's hilarious.
Exactly.
Let Blaine Havenier sign it. Like, whatever.
Yeah. And I just think it is just part of the game where it comes to that. And I mean, even with hooks, what some people don't realize is that sometimes they are done by accident, but sometimes they're also done on purpose. I've seen so many egregious hooks that happen in local tourneys. And I mean, we also have people who hook on the professional tour as well and who are potentially known for it. And when I'm not stating any names, but those people know who they are. So,
That is true.
But to go forward with that, for me, when receiving criticism, I'm always open to it. Obviously, due to my professional background, I'm open to the criticism. I'm able to take the heat. And personally, for me, I really do just brush it off. And I really just listen to the followers and the momentum that we have. And we continue to carry that with each day and each post.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you guys will be going to the upcoming tournaments as well for the well, not all MLP, but essentially all the local stuff. Just like there's not sign-ups stopping anything.
Yeah, there's absolutely no sign-ups that are stopping. And with Clock the Tee, it's garnering a lot of attention, as I stated earlier, with APP players that are interested in playing in iPickles and also in Kappas and NBZs. So there's no stoppage in participation for the SoCal pickleball tournaments and the money balls.
So let me ask you, great, but let me ask you something. Because me as a PPA MLP player, I signed an exclusive contract, as you're aware, and I'm not allowed to play the money balls, which is fine. It is what it is. That said, APP players, like you mentioned, are allowed to play the money balls. But do you think there should be maybe a cutoff in duper or a cutoff somewhere in level where, let's say a 6.8 duper shouldn't be allowed to play SoCal or Vegas or whatever money ball?
Yeah. Personally, for me, from what I've witnessed or what I'm looking at in terms of dupers on the APP tour, there isn't necessarily a individual or person, unless it's Will Howells,
Mm-hmm.
that necessarily would pose as a, oh, this is an ultimate, this is an ultimate block in terms of this person shouldn't play. However, I do believe that as it continues to grow in popularity with Clock the T and many APP players finding interest, that there could potentially be a moment where some SoCal players, especially those who are 5.0 plus, are just going to have to work a little harder and feel challenged and are going to really push themselves to the limit, because if they want to continue to pursue this as a career and as a sport, um, you really want to be playing against the best. And for those who are the best that are on the PPA tour, I'm at the APP, excuse me, like Yana Newell, when she played with Christine Maddox in this past iPickle OC Open, she really left her mark in terms of pushing many of the women in the local SoCal scene to really improve their skills. So I'm starting to see a lot more drilling from many of the up and coming SoCal players. I'm starting to see a lot more close practices and matches, and many of them are starting to level up their game. Some of their playing has definitely improved from January or February all the way till now, due to the fact that there's an increase in influx of players from the APP tour that are slowly but surely interweaving their way into the SoCal Money Balls.
Okay, that makes sense. So let me rephrase that question. Should Rafa, is Leonard or Lenhard?
I believe it's Lenhard.
Lenhard, okay. Should he be allowed to play singles in an iPickle tournament?
I would say why not? I mean,
Okay.
yeah, he defeated Ben Johns, and obviously we all know that Ben Johns' duper is well over 7.0 plus, and he had a really amazing run on the PPA tour, making it to quarters. But I genuinely believe the King of SoCal singles should continue to participate in these local SoCal money balls, so that he can continue to not only like garner more money and build his reputation with amateurs, but also to allow him to get reasonable reps, so that when he goes back to compete on pro qualies for PPA or competing on the APP tour, that he's still fresh.
Okay, that makes sense. So I have one more Clock the T question, and then we'll go into Justin questions.
Okay.
Have you gotten any threats? Any like, if you post this, I will blah blah blah.
I haven't necessarily gotten any threats, but we do have, I would say, parameters that we set when it comes to certain posts. And I will say, I'm not going to name the player, but I will say that certain players have immunity. And for those players that have immunity, we don't necessarily feature their clips no matter how bad it is, due to the fact that they have a pre-arranged agreement with Johnny from Bad Pickleball. And so we try to honor that agreement, because he and I work in collaboration, so that we all are happy and maintain our business as usual. But overall, I haven't gotten any drastic threats. I mean, I don't doubt it. I don't have any now, but maybe I'll have some in the future. But overall, I think we are pretty rock steady here at Clock the T.
What? Sorry, I have to go back to this. How does somebody get immunity?
No, for sure. So
I want to know.
Yeah,
just in case I get bagged.
Of course. Of course. So, as you all know, I'm going to keep mentioning him all the time. So, Johnny Knack from Bad Pickleball, the creator of Bad Pickleball, is also featured here. He is the one who covers majority of the media of these SoCal Money Balls. And he has featured so many players and so many up-and-coming players that he has a set of rules and parameters that he sets for us as Clock the T.
Okay.
So when it comes to utilizing his clips, he says that X amount of players have immunity because they have a pre-disclosed discussion with him about not wanting to be featured on social media because of their match had X type of reaction or Y type of statements that were said.
I need to talk to Johnny.
Yes. Yeah, so because of that, certain players do have immunity. I'm just going to leave it as immunity, as a blanket statement.
Yeah.
But overall, these players, it doesn't necessarily excuse them from having bad behavior, but...
It kind of does, though. It goes hand in
Yeah.
hand. If nobody's ever going to find out,
Right.
they're more likely to do something bad.
But I would counter that and say, usually for those who are on site that are there and that are also recording, have the freedom to post that.
That's fair.
So if it is posted and we are tagged, I would say that's the loophole of the immunity. However, I still wouldn't push that agenda forward, knowing that I constructed this amazing relationship with Bad Pickleball.
No, for sure. And you're just kind of like, you're friends. You're trying to just be nice to each other, essentially, and kind of try to work together no matter what. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just really understanding cordiality and mutual respect, and especially because we're friends and colleagues and in essence sometimes business partners. But I really honor his insight, and because I'm utilizing pretty much 90 to 95% of his media, it's very important for me to honor his parameters and honor those players who are on, quote, immunity.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
how did you get into pickleball?
Awesome. So for me, my journey started 2 years ago when I was deployed in Qatar. So yeah, so believe it or not, I'm a United States Army Reservist officer as well.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you so much for your support. So when I was deployed in Qatar and I was stationed there, during these times when we would have off time in Qatar, what we would do is we would play pickleball. So we had a chaplain.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we had a chaplain who was from Texas. She's from San Antonio, Texas. Her name is Antigone Lowry. A shout out to Antigone. But she pretty much ordered some wooden paddles from Amazon, and she said, hey, I think we all should try the sport. Morale is at an all-time low. I think we should, hit this wiffle ball around and, kind of garner a reaction. And from there, many of us, officer and enlisted alike, managed to get into the sport and become addicted. So many of us started ordering paddles from Amazon, and slowly but surely, towards the end of the tour, I ordered the blue Yola Hyperion that Ben Johns used to play with in like early 2023. And from there, I just became hooked. So I came back home and I didn't necessarily kind of assimilate to anything. And so I had a friend who I also deployed with who was like, hey, they play pickleball in Long Beach and also in the area of the South Bay that you're at. You should probably connect with those people. And from there, it's like any organic story where you meet so many park players and you build a sense of community. And from that sense of community, you start expanding, gaining knowledge about tournaments, the competitive edge, start meeting other people, start going to different places to get better looks. And slowly but surely, I too became super addicted to pickleball. That inspired me to create this amazing account.
And what level do you play at?
So for me, I'm gonna clock myself. So I play 4-5, but my
That's
duper.
pretty good. I was expecting lower. 4-5 is pretty
Yeah,
good.
so I play 4-5, but clock this. My duper is 3.6. So if you want to come for me, that's fine.
Okay.
But for me, I really like doing tournaments for a different reason. For me, I enjoy playing tournaments for fun, and I also like doing it to really evaluate my style of game. I remember last year when I was playing tournaments in 2024, much of the time I was kind of focused on this winning mentality and trying to get better. And through that mentality, I kind of drove myself a little mad and was taking things a little too serious than I was. And for me, when I was competing during that time, I'm not going to blame my partners, but I didn't have the best of partners back then. So there were so many times, because I'm left-handed and I would stack, that we wouldn't be able to unwind the stack.
Yeah.
And that would be my biggest frustration, where if I'm playing with a left side player that isn't dominant and can't unwind the stack, that Even though I had a decent two-hand backhand back then, it would just drive me mad that we could not unwind the stack. And you would always have people in 3-5 and 4-0 that would just bully that certain area, which is the middle. And it would drive me insane. And I'm just like, you know what? Never again am I ever doing this. So slowly but surely, I made my way to Los Cab, garnered an amazing community there, and started to get better, improve my luck, started to drill better and drill more. And that allowed me to get comfortable in competing in the 4-5. And even though I wasn't getting the results that I wanted, I knew that I was getting better because I was playing with better competition. I was meeting different people, and I was starting to play in these groups at Los Cab where the looks were starting to look better and were improved. No one was dinking dead dinks. It was very much really good point construction, and it really allowed me to look at what I was analyzing in the Kappas and the iPickles for the money balls, and also from watching you all in PPA and APP, and starting to apply that to Los Cab when I would play these rec matches with this really good 4-5 plus group.
You know, that's great, and welcome to Los Cab, obviously. You've
Thank
probably been
you.
there for longer than me, honestly, but that said, I do want to give a huge shout out to Vinny.
Yeah.
Vinny, Mary, and Maggie, they do a really good job at running events, at running, you know, just kind of like the pickleball side of Los Cab, right? So thank you guys for doing that for all of us. I don't know what the next event Mary is running. Do you know what it is?
I'm not too sure, but I know that they're doing a 4th of July event. They always do one on a major holiday, but the Brashes are always there hosting major events. So I believe that may be the next one.
All right. Well, go sign up. And thank you again, Mary, Maggie, and Vinny. Appreciate you guys. Okay, so now, you know, I know you live in Palos Verdes.
Yeah, I do.
And you commute to Los Cap to like play pickleball and do all your, you know, clocking tea and all this stuff, right? So how does that interfere with your, you know, day-to-day stuff, you know, considering you're also a professor with a full-time job?
Right. So when it comes to commuting, I really have to take into account the amount of time that it's going to take me to get there, and also making sure that my priorities are set. So for me,
You seem like a very organized person. So
I try to be.
Yeah.
So for me, when it comes to playing pickleball, majority of the time I'm always playing in the evening. I'm usually getting to Los Cap around 5:36, but prior to that, I'm usually teaching classes at Long Beach State. In this past semester, I would teach. After I would finish teaching my classes around 3:30, 4 o'clock, I would do some admin work to make sure that I'm on top of my assignments, making sure that I push these deadlines out so that it gives me ample amount of time to indulge in pickleball per se. And then afterwards, I would commute from Long Beach when the semester was in session, from Long Beach to Los Cab. And that usually, because they built the toll roads, it allowed us to get there faster. So
and more expensive.
yeah, more expensive.
Those toll roads are insane.
Yeah, but I would say with the toll roads, they really improved traffic, and I usually don't ride the toll roads. So for me, traffic is always flowing between the 22 and the 405. So usually it would only take me about 20 to 25 minutes to get to Los
That's not
Cap.
bad at all.
Yeah, so it's really amazing time. So from there, I'm usually playing at Los Cab. I usually drill with some friends at first, usually around 6 to 7. 7:30, and then afterwards play some rec games, and usually there until closing. And I would say when it comes to being able to play pickleball for as much as I play, I usually play about 4 to 5 times a week. I would say that when it comes to managing a full-time job and also playing pickleball and keeping on top with this, it's really big on time management, ensuring that you set these deadlines aside. And for me, I also like staying up late. So usually after I'm finishing with pickleball, I do my commute back home, which is about 45 minutes at that point because there's no traffic. Usually from that time, I'm usually kind of moonlighting and doing a lot of grading work, planning my schedule for the following week, seeing if there's anything from Clock the Tee that I'm able to analyze or to construct, and then seeing what we can do from there. And that is pretty much my schedule and how I deal with it.
Is there somehow that like as a professor, how has that influenced your ability to run clock the tee?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. I would say that being able to work in the field of education has allowed me to run this amazing social media website, or this brand. So pretty much for me, um, being a professor and being an educator, it allowed me to really look at the game from inside and out. So usually back then when I really wasn't watching PPA or APP and really watching the pros, I would watch pickleball matches and try to imitate. But now understanding how to analyze and break things down, um, and utilizing my background in education, I was able to really analyze many of these things that these players are doing at these money balls. So for me, I started to see trends and patterns and understanding patterns. So what a lot of people don't realize is that with amateur players who are kind of emerging, trying to get their duper up and so on and so forth, is that pickleball is a game of patterns, and I would say it's also a game of chess. To be able to understand
And momentum.
Yes, and momentum. So to be able to understand these patterns and look at how these players are getting the most points and the most success, it's more than just picking on the weakest player, but also creating the shots that will optimize your ability to get the point. So really hitting good two-hand backhand drops, and also just setting your partner up with a really solid drop. Shake and bakes that are starting to become more prominent now as the Gen 3 and Gen 4 paddles are coming out. So with that, being able to understand how to analyze that game, and also how my educational experiences have allowed me to improve my ability to run clock the tee. Also, in terms of the interviews, as you know, being an educator, you're constantly in front of students all the time.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to lecture on the spot. So for me, I usually rehearse a lot of what I say in front of my students, so that I don't sound incompetent. But when it comes to doing these interviews, I really kind of enjoy the fact that I can do improv and be able to generate these questions based off of the analysis of the game that I'm watching. So most of the time when I'm watching these matches, I really think of questions. I start typing things down of patterns and stuff. And when you read these notes, or when you think about these notes that I'm writing on my notes app on my iPhone, it could seem incoherent, or it doesn't make any sense. Like I would just say, this person dropped, or this person shaked and baked, or this person did this. But this allows me to generate the questions that I ask, because with these questions, or with these sort of notes that I have wrote, they allow me to think of my questions right on the spot, so that the improv makes sense, so that the player is able to respond in a cognizant fashion, so that the interview runs smoothly, and it allows them to really give me their insight and their perspective without making it seem a little too casual.
Yeah, no, and I think that to me is like really appreciated, because I do obviously a lot of the podcasting style where I'm asking questions still, and like I always base, I don't always ask good questions, I don't always phrase them properly. That said, though, in my opinion, the better a question is asked, usually the better the response you get, right? When I guess when the question is just all over the place and it's not well put and it's not well thought of, then the answer is just kind of like all over the place. It's like, what the fuck am I even answering?
Exactly.
So that said, I do want to end up with a couple maybe spicy hot takes, maybe spice it up a little bit. So on the male and female side, for SoCal Pickleball, I need somebody that we should be looking out for, and somebody that you think is overrated in these kappas and iPickles.
Oh my gosh, this question is so messy, but I will answer it. So, in terms of a player to look out for, I gotta give her this credit. I will say Trang Quinn McLean. I have to give her that credit. I mean, she's been having so much success in the money balls, especially playing with Avery Chu, who is another amazing player outright, 16-year-old, really great athleticism. I would call her a right side queen. But going back to Trang, I would say she is the player to look out for. If many of you don't know, Trang partnered with Len Yang and actually defeated Annalie Waters and Andre Agassi at the U.S. Open in
Not
three.
too shabby. Not too
Yes,
shabby.
and I mean, if you look at Annalie Waters' track record, in addition to Andre Agassi's, tennis background, with the many Grand Slams, to be able to accomplish a feat like that and not be in Southern California, be away in Florida where it's different conditions, humidity, and to be in a space where essentially the crowd isn't rooting for you, but is rooting for Annalie Waters and Andre Agassi is an amazing feat. And Trang has been able to achieve so much success here in the Moneyballs and also is climbing her way through the APP tour. So I would say she is someone to look out for. In terms of someone who I believe is overrated, and and he's gonna laugh about this, but I love this guy, but I would say Eric Pela is definitely
Eric
overrated.
Pela, that's my boy, man.
I'm
What's
sorry,
wrong
DJ.
with you?
I'm sorry, DJ. I mean, it's my job to clock the tea, but Eric has had an amazing run. He does well in the money balls, but after seeing multiple people with varying dupers from 5'5", 5'6", sort of take him down in quarters and also in playoffs and in pool play. I would say that with Eric, he has the ability to continue to maintain his reign on top of SoCal Pickleball, but I would say he needs to drill a little more to be back on top. Many people, especially in the amateurs, and some of my friends, praise him up and down as like being the best in money balls and being the best in SoCal, and he has an immaculate duper of 6'4", so I have to give him that credit.
6'4"?
Yes.
I'm a 6'3".
I know, right?
Wow. Sorry, bro. You are overrated.
Yes.
Fuck that.
Right. So it's just, with Eric, he is a great guy, amazing person, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but you're a little overrated.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And here's the thing, too. Like, I got to give some love to my boy because, I have my own paddle company now. Big shout out to APL, and we make amazing products. But that said, I don't want to talk shit about his paddle or whatever it is. But I mean, we're going on to like Gen 4, Gen 5 even, right?
Yeah.
And like he's been playing with the same like really soft paddle. And then again, I don't know what the brand is. I don't know if it's the paddle. I don't know what it is. But to me, it's like your equipment in pickleball or anything you ever do really does matter.
Right.
So to me, like having this skill is one thing, which I believe he does, but then also having good enough equipment to keep up with your opposition is also huge. I would say a big shout out to me, he's a really good friend of mine, and we practice a lot. Is Kevin Dayan.
Oh yes.
Love the guy. We hang out a lot. That said, somebody like Kevin, that's near the level of Eric, but he has better equipment. Then to me that kind of makes that whole like difference. And kind of like in pro pickleball or in very high level pickleball, a lot of these matches are determined basically on a couple points. There's a lot of like 15-13, 15-11, 11-9 in round robin style, whatever it is, right? So to me that's where equipment really comes in through, because if you truly are better than somebody by a lot, the equipment might not matter. But the second it gets close, fuck yeah, it does matter.
Oh, absolutely. And I will respond to that because I do know the paddle that he used to play with. And Eric is, I believe he's still sponsored by Cenex.
Okay.
That's the paddle company that sponsors him, the paddle he used to play with. But yeah, I will say that the equipment does matter because you will see players, especially in amateur play, when they would play with no shade to Paddle Tech, but they're Paddle Tech or like an Engage where it's like American brand company, but it's Gen 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
And right when those players start switching to other paddles such as Yola and now the new Selkirk and 11.624, we're starting to see players who were like 3.5 and they were bangers who would sometimes hit it into the net, now are able to hit with such speed and precision to where this equipment is body bagging people to where they are getting actually a lot better because they're utilizing this equipment that is full foam injected, wider cells that allows them to play in a better fashion. So even though Eric was playing with Xenix, now I believe he's playing with the Thrive Smoke. He is starting to see a little bit more success, but
Yeah.
I don't think the Thrive Smoke is Gen 3 or Gen 4 though.
Yeah, I don't know either personally.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what I'm doing right now. But yeah, that said, dude, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate you. Big shout out to Clock the T. Like always, big thank you to APL for making paddles. Big thank you to Dripping. And that said, is there anything you'd like to promote? Like Bat Pickleball.
Yeah, of course. So thank you so much, DJ, for having me. The pleasure is all mine. I really appreciate being on Conversations with DJ. In terms of promoting, first of all, make sure you're following Clock the T. So at clockthet.pb. DJ Young follows us. And many other people follow us. So
For now. I follow them for now until I get bagged.
Until he gets clocked. But so make sure you're following Clock the T. In addition to that, also make sure you're following Bad Pickleball on Instagram and also subscribe to his YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
He posts many of the SoCal matches from these major tournaments. So you'll be able to watch the long form on his YouTube channel. And he's also running a membership program. So if you can, also join his membership program as well. That gives you exclusive access to these clips earlier than the general public. So overall, it's just amazing stuff. So I am so excited to promote him and promote myself. And then last but not least, I'm also wearing this brand called Doubles by my friend Steven and Stacy. It's a pickleball athleisure brand. So if you're able to check it out, it's DBLS Pickleball. I like playing in it. I like competing in it. I have won tournaments in it. So I hope that it inspires you as well to check it out.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks,
Awesome.
man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, DJ. I really appreciate it.